is a body politic. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that it's corporate or it's corporation.
It's not.
We're in a corporate construct.
Right.
And you're using corporate fictions to interface with this corporate construct. And the proof of that is your bank card. Yeah?
Right, the business.
Okay, so I don't sound crazy.
No, you don't sound crazy
okay,
at all.
cool. All right, yeah, because thank you very much. Because, you know, it's like, I mean...
Listen, first of all, stop listening to the sovereign citizens.
It's not necessary.
They're Europeans. They're not talking indigenous talk. All right?
What's their nationality?
Exactly. We're not into this threat level, crazy Illuminati. Like, just put that down for a second. We live in the real world. We got to do business. We got to engage in contract. All that. The United States, corporation. You about to get turned in. Let's just chill out.
It was through the teachings of the Nation of Islam and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that I heard of the Moorish movement. It was through those teachings and the guidance, and then in New York through the Nation of Gods and Earth's 5% Nation. At the time it wasn't called the Nation of Gods and Earth; it was called the 5% Nation of Islam. You know the history, and so that was my progression, so to speak.
Right.
And I honor all of those schools. I honor all of those teachings. You know what I mean? So. Just like with martial arts, you don't wear teachings like a coat. If you do that, you're still at a beginning stage. The idea is to transcend, not disregard or put away, but to understand and transcend the curriculum and the teaching. The teaching is to shape and mold you. At the end of the day, you're more important than the teaching. The teaching is to guide and direct you.
About Prophet Noble Drew Ali teachings, what people don't really talk about, that you don't hear out in these streets when we talk about Islam. What are some of the things that we need to know?
Oh my God! All right. Let's start with let's get right down to the meat of what he taught. He taught a lot of things, and we could go a number of places with this.
Right.
But one of the largest misconceptions, you know how they say the devil hides in plain view?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
One of the largest misconceptions about the Moorish movement and the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the one thing that most people in the movement think they know so well. And that's what nationality is and what nationality is not. So let's start with what it is not. Nationality is not a get out of jail free card. Nationality is not something that makes me better than somebody else. It doesn't make me better than. It might make me better off, but it doesn't make me better than. You see what I'm saying? That's what nationality is not. Nationality is not some paperwork filing and that you deal with the courts or on some. That's not what nationality is. I'm about to tell you what nationality really, really, really is. The legal definition, Black's Law Dictionary, everybody hears it. Nationality is that quality of character that arises out of the fact that a person belongs to a nation or a state. Right? So forgive the analogy, but nationality is that common thing, that common thread that you and I have coming up. Let's say if I came up in Lincoln Projects, especially back in those days, you knew what borough someone was from just by their dress code.
That's true.
That's a quality of character. Now, what we're talking about is a group or collective dynamic. Nationality is not some individual thing. I cannot have nationality by myself. Okay? That's just like saying you're a gang of one. Because again, excuse the analogy, the gang mentality is one of the best examples that we have today of what nationality is. Meaning, my actual survival depends upon me being around and with and interacting with my brothers and my sisters. That's what nationality is. That's all it is. It's a group dynamic. It means that the group, the collective, is more important than the individual. And the individual benefits by participating in the collective. So when you hear people talking about, I can give you nationality, they don't know what nationality is. That's just the truth. They don't know what it is. So this is what the Prophet was talking about.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Prophet was like, literally, what is the common ground by which we all can come together and work together? See, it's not just a matter of, think about it. You have a business out here. What supports your business and who supports your business? Our people.
Right.
So that's what an economy is. The economy is the fact that you have a dynamic where people will come and support your business, and you balance that with providing them with what they need and what they want. You know what I mean? So it's you can't have an economy without having a community. You see what I'm saying? You can't produce for yourself and your family without that community. You understand what I mean?
Right.
And so that's what comes first, is the building and the creating of a community that has a common ancestry, has common experiences, live around each other, and have some of the same issues and the same problems, and then come together and form solutions that will benefit the collective. So people have to first understand, what is it? But you can't talk about what's wrong with it until you fully understand what it is. You see what I'm saying? So now, using that analogy and bringing it to the topic, my martial arts instructor will put it like this. Of course, in tradition, you can ask a question. Of course, there's room for innovation. There's room for development. But if you don't don't understand what the thing is, you're not even qualified to ask a question yet. Do the thing 10,000 times. Do the thing 50,000 times. Then you're qualified to ask intelligent questions. So when it comes to the Moorish movement, and I'm saying this, most people, if the people on the inside, if a large percentage of the people on the inside of the Moorish movement don't know what nationality truly is, how can we expect people on the outside to know what nationality truly is? And how can we qualify ourselves to say we need to innovate or change or adapt it when we don't even know what it is to begin with? We still have to figure out what the Prophet brought us. You see what I'm saying? Some of us know, many of us don't. And I'm talking about inside the movement. So when you have people on the outside of the movement saying, well, wait a minute, that might be old-fashioned stuff. Maybe we need to change or adapt it. We can't fault them because they're on the outside of the movement. It's our fault as members of the Moorish Science Temple of America for not knowing and being able to explain the Prophet's program in a way that everybody can understand it. When we can understand it, then we can do exactly what the Prophet said was what you're talking about. He said to extend the learning and truth of the great Prophet of Ali in North America. Meaning what? Push it forward into the modern time. But you got to understand it first before you could do that. If not, what are you doing? You're becoming a professional beginner. You're just starting all over again with half knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with modifying and expanding and broadening the scope of the teachings as long as we understand what it is we're dealing with to begin with.
Right. Okay.
You know, and so there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history of the Moorish movement, you know, subsequent to the Prophet's passing, that's caused a lot of confusion inside the temple. And if there's confusion with members understanding the teachings inside, how can we expect people on the outside to understand this and respect this, you know?
I got you.
Yes, sir. And I'll be the first to say that there's a huge amount of, because of the decentralization of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish movement in general from 1929 on to the present day, there's a lot of confusion even with the Moorish American community as to what is Moorish and what is not. So people outside of the Moorish American community, we can't fault if they have an idea or an understanding of the Moorish movement that's somewhat skewed and they have a disagreement with it. We can't fault you for saying, well, wait a minute, y'all might need to upgrade that thing if we're not doing a good job of educating and informing you to what it actually is. The idea of the Moorish movement is to bring unity. And we don't mean unity that is glad-handed and backslapping and smiling for the camera. That's not unity. Unity is, oh, you develop some economics.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying?
There you go.
Now, I'm going to be a little critical about my own movement, right? You know, one of my good brothers put it like this. He said, listen, you don't see when Italians come together, them talking for hours about the glory days of the Roman Empire. How can we develop some economics? How can we secure our future right now in the present? You see what I'm saying? Right? Sadly, many of us in the Moorish movement, and not just in the Moorish movement, but the conscious community in general, all we can do is have a conscious conversation. All we can do is have a Moorish conversation. Start talking about economics, now everybody's pies get tight and they get quiet.
There you go.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Or if they talk about economics, they're doing this. Well, brother, can you see what I'm saying? So, you know, the idea is unity, not to push each other away. The idea is how can we work together? And unity works like this. Again, I'm going to use a martial arts analogy, right? One day we were watching this martial arts demonstration with my instructor, and the people who were demonstrating were very bad. They were horrible. And we were letting them know. We were talking about amongst ourselves. Oh, these guys are bad. They're horrible. They're horrible. They're horrible. My instructor sat and listened to us. And you know what he said finally? He said, wow, the guy, maybe out of 100 things, he does 99 bad things. I'm going to steal the one good thing he does. Made us all look like fools.
That's deep right there.
You see what I'm saying?
Because there's got to be something good that he do that we need to learn.
There you go, brother, man.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so that's my brother right there. You know what I mean? So maybe I don't like his boots. Maybe I don't like he's got blue on because my favorite color is red. Maybe I don't like the Scully he has on. But there's something about that brother that I know I can find an affinity with. And it's on that point that we come together and we work together and enter the house of labor together and help each other to benefit each other. You see what I'm saying? In our families. That's what unity is. Unity is work. Unity doesn't mean I gotta like somebody. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Unity is work. We work together. That's the alchemy. You know what I'm saying? That changes base metals into gold. In other words, it turns poor character into good character. It makes makes a bad man good and a good man better. You see? So, but I still want to address that whole thing. See, I want to talk about that thing about black, right?
Yeah, brother.
All right. And our questionnaire, the Moorish American questionnaire, is black quarter science means death. Everybody, including members of the Moorish Science of America, take this thing as some bad thing. That means black is bad. No. In our same doctrine, I'm talking about what the Prophet taught right now. He said black quarter science means death. Guess what he also said? What? Now, mathematically, if we wanted to equate that to like a mathematical equation, we could say black equals death. Okay. Other places in our doctrine, in his teaching, he said there's a holy ministry in death. Another place, he said death is not an enemy to man, but a friend. So if we substitute death with black, what are we saying? What does the prophet say?
That is a friend to you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. That it's a friend.
Nobody never talk about that part right there.
No doubt.
Because if they did,
you know why, Mo?
it would make a lot of sense.
But you know why, brother? One of our teachers says, man and Allah are one. While Allah lives, man cannot die. Now think about that. While Allah lives, man cannot die. So guess what that means? If I think death is bad, that means I'm scared of death. I don't know what it is, and I don't know who I am. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm talking about Moorish Americans because we have these lessons. So if in your lessons it's saying that death is not an enemy to man but a friend, and that there's a holy ministry in death, right? And black according to science means death, so that means there's a holy ministry in black. That means that black is not an enemy to man but a friend. And the term black describes our condition. It does. It describes our condition. Because like we talk about the word, the Arabic word we derive the word alchemy from, right? Alchem. People say, well, it means the black science. No, it means life out of blackness. That's what it means. It means life out of blackness. And that's exactly what our prophet taught us in chapter 17 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Symbol of America. He said that the body must disintegrate, meaning the ego. Now, we're not just talking about the ego of the individual. We're talking about the ego of an entire people. See, one thing that Minister Farrakhan said a long time ago, he said, you know what our people and other people don't ask? As bad as our condition was made by the European, we don't ask what we did to get ourselves in that condition. As great a people as we are, how in the world did we get brought down to nothing? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what we don't like talking about, or we don't ask ourselves. You see? So when we say that the body must disintegrate, the body of what? The body of desires, the ego. That's fixed, has to become solvent. And there's no other people on the planet that have been reduced to nothing the way we have. No other people. And then we say that upon this pliant substance, in other words, this pliant people, Allah breathes, just like he breathed upon the chaos of the deep when the worlds are formed, and life springs forth from death, meaning out of our people, the best the world has ever seen is going to come out of it. Guaranteed, that's what's going to happen. That's, in a nutshell, the holy ministry in death. That's the real science behind black. So no real Moorish American who knows his doctrine, who knows his teachings, should have an issue with the word black. None of them.
Here's the fact of the matter, and I won't have to go into a whole bunch of detail, just the basics. Prophet Drew Ali got us out of identifying ourselves by names of color. He said we are identified by our free national name, just like every other person is on the planet. Plain and simple. So we reject as a national identifier. Notice I'm being very specific. As a national identifier, if we're rejecting the name black as a national identifier, we also have to reject the name white, green, pink, purple polka dots. It doesn't matter. Of course, the European, and that's what we call him, of course the European uses the term white. And of course it gives him power, right? Of course it does. But let's be specific. White is not a nationality. He doesn't claim it to be a nationality. See, a big part of what goes on with a lot of us is that in another school of thought, we used to say, make your understanding understood. You know what I'm saying? So we may be saying the same words, but we don't have the same understanding of the word. Let's talk about that, right? So, race is not nationality, never was. Let's understand that. You ask a European what his race is, he may say white. Okay, cool. We ask him his nationality, he says, oh, well, I'm Italian, or I'm Irish. And then he proceeds to run down history about his family and about his national group going back 100, 200, 300 years. But he can directly connect it to him. It's not some arbitrary connection like, oh, well, black people built pyramids. It's a little arbitrary. Not to say that that's not true, but if you can't demonstrate the link, maybe you don't need to be saying it. So let's get that straight. White is not a nationality, never was. White is a social political construct. Let's not mix apples with oranges. Nationality is nationality. Ethnicity is ethnicity. If you choose to identify yourself by ethnicity or race, you get exactly what you got right now. It's just that simple. Here's a little piece of information. The American Anthropological Association openly states
that the race construct, the color code race construct, is a myth. It's a myth. They made it up.
What is the purpose of the myth? They made up a color code construct that places white where? Places black where? So guess what that means, people? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If you are included or include yourself In that categorization, where do you place yourself?